Everybody, and welcome back to the Wildcard Podcast. It's that time of the year, G. T4 is concluded. We crowned our king of the jungle, and now Super League, the road to Athens begins now. If you thought earlier in the season was going to be somewhat calm and chaotic, well, now it's just going to be straight chaotic with absolutely no more control. It is the last chance, G, to get in the Super League. But before we get into T5, we got to figure out where did everybody rank heading into T5. What's your thoughts on the Super League list, man? It's a lot of interesting names in. A couple people dropped out, a couple surprises, and one huge surprise, in my opinion. Let me know what you think, G. Opening thoughts.
Yeah, I think when we look through this all at the end of it, I think there was a lot of people who were within the top 25 last time. They were staying within. Like there are a few people that jumped into the top 25 and a few people that dropped out, but not as many as it was last time. So uh, biggest takeaway though is that there's a lot of moving around, a lot of shuffling that's happened, and some of it's been on the bubble. So we'll probably have a discussion about that when we get to it. But I say we kick this off with our first few players in the top 25. Some of the players that jumped in there, but still got a bit of work to do before they could jump into that elusive top 15.
Yeah, let's go. Let's start it off at number 25, coming in hot as Myth. Obviously, Myth was a guy, G, that needed a little bit of a confidence boost after a good Elite 8 run. T3 didn't get it. I wouldn't say hosed. He more just got outplayed once we had to go to Plan B against Gold. But because he had enough of a resume, he just hangs on for your top 25. Thoughts on Mid? Obviously, no matter what, G, a great season for him, right? 4 wins, which is important for him.
Mhm.
Not even going to sniff D2. Your thoughts on Mid? Do you think he's on house money rest of the way, considering he's one of those guys that was just lucky to get out of D2?
I don't know if he's necessarily on house money. I definitely know he's more motivated to try to get back to get into the field per se. He was 21 first in the last one, dropped 4 spots, but I know Myth is wanting to try to get into the Super League field, so I think he's definitely going to try to make a run here. In terms of how the season's gone, I mean, absolutely, last year was a terrible season for Myth. I believe he only got 1 win, which was the worst out of everyone who was in all 5 tournaments. So a much better season this year, and something to build on for next year. But still technically in the hunt to make Super League, but is going to need a bit of a run here to get that done. So gonna have to leave it all on the line here for Space September, which is the theme. I mean, I think we already revealed that, so not really much of a spoiler there, but um, gonna have to just get the job done there, and yeah, then we'll see what happens with Myth. But not in the easiest spot per se, but still in the top 25, which is better than some other people.
Absolutely. Yeah, Space September is the theme. We'll get to that when we get to the episode 1 or the next episode 1 of T5, which will be Tapir's theme after he won T4. He picked Space September. We'll get a little bit more of the crux of that when we get there. But moving on to the next person, this guy took one of the biggest hits. I believe the second biggest hit, if I'm not mistaken, in the rankings. ALP. Well, for ALP, it was a rocky road, right? Had a lot of control against Bowtie early, and then just had massive hands, and he blew it. Now he has this weird tendency, G. I know you talk about this, where he just flutters in round 1, and then these even number tournaments where he just doesn't resound. He'll resound back in T5. The odd number of tournaments where he'll make a Sweet 16 or finish a P9. The problem here, G, is I don't think P9 is going to be enough. I think he's going to have to think about possibly an Elite 8. What's your thoughts on ALP? A lot of mystery still. And to this day, 5 tournaments, I still don't know who he is. That's crazy to say.
Listen, I'm still locking in the odds evens theory here because I think we had a big hit on that in the last tournament. So I expect ALP to make the round of 16 here in this upcoming tournament. But again, being 24th in the rankings, I'm not sure that's going to be enough, especially depending on who he ends up playing for those first 2 matchups. So might need a little bit more than round of 16. We'll see how it goes, but. Big tournament coming up for ALP. Didn't have the greatest Jungle July, so needs to come up big here in Tournament 5. Otherwise, his season, after starting as a 16 seed this year, is fortunately going to come to an end a bit short after kind of defying expectations all year. I think a lot of people were thinking he'd be in the relegation battle, but very quickly proved that wrong.
A lot of rookies, G. We're going to be hitting a theme of that pretty soon, I think. A lot of rookies in this top 25. It's going to be a massive theme, especially when we get to the upper echelons. And speaking of a non-rookie player, having one of the better stories of this top 25G. Probably one or two surprises. Our first sophomore, Bowtie, big win on ALP to hold the tiebreaker there. Great E8 run despite the hosing to Nam. Definitely proved some people wrong. I mean, he started the tournament in T3 at one win. He made 3 big wins to get to the 4-win club. Joins the top 25. I believe it's his first top 25 in his career. Thoughts on Bowtie making a run here? Do you think he's got a chance to snip top 15, or is he content with the season, considering he was on relegation talks all year?
To be completely fair, I think for Bowtie, definitely the best run of his career, but it's going to need a lot more if he's going to have a repeat on that, and he is a bit on the outside. Did have the win against ALP, but looking at this run here, definitely could have used a few more bigger wins. I think the biggest one he got was just ALP himself, so. Um, Fortunately, when it comes to trying to jump into the top 15, I don't think those type of wins are going to be good enough to get it done. So, going to need a bit more here, but has a lot of momentum on his side to try to have a run going. But it's a feel good moment for Bowtie. I mean, I don't think he's ever been in a Super League reveal ranking, and finally gets the job done here. Lands at number 23 for the very first time in his career, and we'll see where he goes from here. Going to have have an interesting tournament to try to follow up what a great jungle July he had.
Bowtie will definitely look to make waves, and one thing about Bowtie is you never know, right? We all talk about Bowtie and his huge win against Japez last year. You never know if he can find a little magic and get the job done. Maybe sneaks in. We'll see. Now we're starting to get into the People G, where we start to think about maybe getting closer to just a true bubble conversation, but I don't think it's this guy. I don't think this guy's in that true bubble. I think he's still a house money toaster guy. I said last tournament, he was the one guy I'm pretty sure that had 4 wins that with the hard schedule he had, he probably could make Super League with 6 wins, but that is not going to happen, G, in my opinion. The Pac Johnson loss pretty much killed his chance of having maybe a 6-win season again in Super League with the hard schedule. I'm thinking he needs to go 7 or 8 deep just to have a chance to even consider bubble contention, which would be Elite 8. Thoughts on just Toaster Guy? Tough loss to Pac. That ultimately killed it so far for him.
Yeah, I mean, Pac was 0-7 going into that game, I believe. So obviously not the kind of loss you want to have, but. I mean, for Toaster, he had a great May. Fortunately, could not really follow it up in the Jungle July. But now we're going to have to see what he can bring to the table here, or if that May run was a bit of a fluke. But um, for Drops 4 was 18 was an 18th last time, but for Toaster Guy, I think it's really just trying to figure out what he needs to channel from that May run, and put it into another performance here in the space of September. So, gonna see how this all plays out for him. Still very much in contention per se, but really walking a fine line here right now to keep his season alive.
Toaster Guy will have to definitely dig deep, G. Maybe, like I said, Elite 8, something of that nature to start gaining momentum. We'll talk more about him. He's definitely an interesting guy in terms of just trying to get back into the mix for sure. Now, T, this guy has been on the 20, 21, 21, 20 line all year, right? Seems to never be able to get out of it. And we've talked about Drip how many times now where we've said, well, man, it's time for him to make the run, right? It's time. He's a rookie, but he's a rookie by name. He tried it with Yepez, but it ultimately failed. He should have lost to Radin, too. I mean, there was points where I thought Radin actually had a chance at him. But he did beat Radin and then just fell short to Yepez in 6. When is the run going to happen, G, or is it just never going to? I wouldn't say he's another guy can just go sweep. I think he has to start thinking minimum Elite 8, and with a DQ win, maybe even Final 4, that resume. Thoughts on Drip?
I mean, it's interesting because I think at the start of the year, a lot of people had a lot of optimism for Drip. A lot of people were thinking there was going to be a deep run at some point in the season. The matter was just not if, more when. But I think the question might be now if, because we're down to space September here, and that run still has not happened. So he's gotten a good win or two here, but and that hasn't necessarily played bad, but hasn't had that big breakout performance that a lot of people were thinking. So. I still think at some point it's going to happen, but it might just be a matter of if it happens this year or next year. So we'll have to see with that. But I mean, Trip's been around this 2021 line the entire year so far, which is not where he wants to be because that is, of course, not in the top 15. So Gonna be curious to see how this Space September plays out. Maybe the run happens here, but if not, it's gonna be back to the drawing board for Drip next year and trying to figure out what he needs to do to get the job done.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be a hard reset if he doesn't get the run here, G. And you got to think about it, especially with where he's at as a rookie, and you see a lot of his fellow classmates per se running. It's almost like that one meme where everyone's running around and he's just stuck at the back. And I really hope Drip can find it, but we'll see how it goes. As that will conclude 21 through 25. Now, G, I think we start to think about guys maybe can get away with Sweet 16. I think these next two can't, though. We're starting with Stingray. What a disappointing Juggler July, man. I mean, you had it against Brian, up 3-2, right? Trying to fight and just lost the platform, lost the momentum. And I'll be honest with you, G, where has Stingray been since T2? It hasn't been it. I think he needs to go. He needs to think about what can I learn in this break before T5, because I have not seen the same Stingray since that infamous Tapir game. What do you think he's got to do as a player to get back into the hunt? Because it has been a struggle bus for Stingray for sure the last two tournaments.
I think one thing I want to comment on prior is that both Stingray and Drip played each other at the start of the season. I think there was a comment during that game that the winner of that match was not going to make it, but the loser was. But right now, both of them are outside the field, so maybe not what a lot of people were expecting. But I mean, for Stingray, an okay start. I mean, obviously, ran a 32, not the greatest thing, but definitely got on the board. But it was really the Aquatic April that was his moment to shine, made it all the way to the round of 8, but just since then has not had anything to offer in terms of the league this season. Because obviously round of 64 exit here and had a round of 64 exit in May as well, so that's back-to-back round of 64 exits. It's been kind of falling off a cliff here right now. And was close against Brian, but did blow a 3-2 lead there, and not a good situation at all. I mean, he's kind of just on a downward spiral here. This is the first time he's outside of the top 15, so gonna have to figure something out here. Otherwise, downward spiral is going to continue. He could even end up outside the top 25 for the final rankings, and yeah, he needs some sort of reset button. Right now, he needs a mini reset button, but maybe at the end of the year, especially if this Space September goes bad, needs a major reset button because he has not been the same since his run in May, or not May, since his run in April.
Well, the one thing I will say for Stammer, if there is one positive, sometimes, G, when you win in March, you do well in March. It is very reminiscent to T5, where March there's nobody locked in. There's a lot of pressure to be the first guy locked in, and in a way, in the last tournament, you want to be the last guy locked in. I wonder if Stingray can find those gears, because this next guy, man, it's gonna be a long conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Before we do that, I just want to say something. That is the resume of our next player here, which is going to be good old Monkey Boy. Yeah, dropped 10 spots, the biggest drop out of everyone. An absolute disastrous tournament this time, and goes from 9th to 19th. A genuine disaster on all fronts. Got swept in by Lane in their first matchup. Went 0-4 in the tournament, and yeah, it was not, obviously Lane had a good run here, so the loss isn't as bad as it could have been, but still, it was a terrible performance. He had a very shaky resume going into this, and this just completely killed it because the one thing he was holding on to was consistency, and the consistency just died. KT, any other further comments on this one before we wrap this one up in general? But I wanted to start on this one since this was definitely one I was very vocal about prior to this tournament.
Well, there's a level of concern. I said coming into this tournament, his level of concern was a 10. It's not even on the scale anymore, G. It's in the galaxy. Look, there's a lot of things you got to look at this. If you're a Monkey, you got to think about just wipe that memory away. Right, whatever Lane did to you, that was one of the worst performances in league history. As a 1 seed, it was your 100th game. All the bad luck is out of the way, right? Whatever was going on with Allen and him off the field, got to wipe it away. Those are the things, G, that mentally can fry a person. I think he needs to realize, you know what? I had all my bad luck out of the way now. That's the one positive he has. But look, he's been in a rocky road. He had a great March, a solid April, and then ever since then it's just been nowhere. And I think the problem, G, is we talked about this. We both were concerned. Was he able to handle the 1 seed pressure? And that was clearly evident he couldn't. And then by Island, which has been a curse more than a blessing this year, at least in the regular season, and it just hasn't worked out. I hate to say it, but I don't know where his head's going to be at this next tournament. I think the new bot's going to help him, but the problem is, G, when he got swept, it wasn't a hosing. It was just got outplayed, and then when you get outplayed, that sticks with you. I want to see his resiliency. That's going to be the one thing we look for, Monkey, because 10 spots is not much better than this next guy either. These next two guys, I think, are the biggest losers, in my opinion, of this tournament in the rankings. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Monkey for sure. Well,
Yeah.
G, this next guy, it's not much better for Yoshi. I mean, there was high expectations. You make a finale, and look, I've been a big Yoshi fan the whole season, but I'm going to call it like it is right here. G, terrible. Inexcusable power play in Game 6. Then just can't win in Game 7, but just trying to rush the ammo. And Kev Shear ultimately won and then gets swept by Bowtie, and he ends up in this position. I'm going to be honest with you. Monkey and Yoshi are in the same spot. They've used all their bad luck out of the. They better mentally get back in it because I'm worried. I am worried for Yoshi. This is not going to be an easy road to get back up, and the reason why, G, is the two guys in front of him, in my opinion. And because of that, I don't know. Yoshi's in a teetering spot to lose 8 spots, and really the only person he outplayed or outjumped was Monkey, who was ahead of him at 9. That's not saying much. What's your thoughts on Yoshi? Definitely a shaky waters compared to what we thought after that P2 in T3.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not the tournament he needed. I was hoping for a little more per se, but now you gotta wonder, especially if this Space September goes bad, major what if in the May Masquerade with Yoshi not winning that finale. But it's kind of a tough spot for Yoshi. I mean, he needs a good run here. I would say at least round of 16 with some help, and then just round of 8 outright. Um, but yeah, I mean, he's 18th, so it's not the worst spot per se, but he's going to be fighting for his life here in Space September. He cannot slip up early, otherwise he will be done. But um, yeah, not the run he needed after making the finale in the May Masquerade. A really, really disappointing showing from Yoshi. Definitely needs a little bit more here in this upcoming tournament. Otherwise, he's going to be watching from the sidelines for Super League yet again.
Now, you don't want to be watching the sidelines, G's. And one guy that was in the action last year, probably one of the biggest movers. I don't think he was even in the top 20, but I think he's returned now is Sanford. And what a run for Charles Sanford. He was 1 game away, a 5-card start, I think is what he tried in game 11. Not a bad move, considering Superior had all the momentum. Not a bad move, just couldn't finish it out. A little fatigue, but regardless, a big one. And G, we know Sanford's got the pedigree. Now, the resume may not be good, may not be the best compared to last year, but I think he's the first guy I can truly say. If he makes a Sweet 16, depending on who those wins are, I think he's going to be a guy who can lock himself in, considering the field ahead. I think Sanford's bad. I know we talked about he's packed it up, right? But with this new buy, something about Sanford on new platforms is a guy that can really make a move. Watch Charles Sanford. I think he's one to watch. What do you think, G?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, especially after going into tournament 4, a lot of people were thinking that his head was more focused towards 2025, but might have had a shift back to this year and definitely rejuvenated his life in this season with the Final Four run. But gonna need a little bit more still on the outside looking in. A good Space September here will definitely help push him back in. But this has been a very up and down season for Sanford. Not the worst out of the people who were in Super League last year, but definitely not what we were expecting coming into the year. But overall for Sanford, needs a big run here to make the field. We'll see if he can get the job done here and possibly find some redemption here after a very, very disappointing Super League last year. So Sanford, I know, definitely wants to try to make it back here to redeem himself, but going to have a very, very tough fight here in Space September, going up against quite a few people here to try to get that spot.
And we'll see a veteran presence. Maybe that's the one thing Sanford does have. Last year, I wouldn't say he was on the bubble. He would just needed pretty much an entry into the tournament in T5 last year, and he was safe. But this next guy, G, he's coming back. This man has been through hell and back, I think. Yepez has had no resume at times, and all of a sudden, Here comes Yepez in T4 looking for some wins, and he got the biggest win of his not maybe not of his career because he's had bigger wins, but the biggest win of this season for him. Takes care of Brad and Drip as well. Those 2 wins right there has propelled him up in the ranks. He's the first guy out, but I'm gonna tell you right now, G. This is another guy. I think because of these 2 guys and their names, it scares everyone 18th on back. Right, 18th on back. If it was any other 2 players, okay, maybe we can find out what these 2 guys are going to control the cards. I think Yepez could be in a good spot here. I think he will be. Sure, he had Tapir loss, but man, if he would have got that Tapir win, where would he be right now? Probably be up there. I think he's close though. He's been locked in on this new bot too. I think he's someone to watch, and he thrives off of chaos. And T5 will be chaos for sure. Thoughts on Yepez?
I mean, this is the second time Yepez is at the 16th spot this season, but I think for Yepez, I feel like last year a lot of people would have more confidence in terms of just saying that he'll jump in 25, but we've seen how this season's gone for a lot of the Super League players. This has been very up and down for some players, a lot more down than up, but um, it's kind of a tough one to call because he's still out of the field right now if we started Super League today, so. Um, Gonna be difficult to try to figure out what he necessarily needs to bring because I think this isn't necessarily a specific run to up to a certain point. Like obviously, maybe a round of 8 again would push him in, but he's really fighting against the bubble here. We'll talk about 15 in a second, but then but again, also just fighting Sanford, Yoshi, Monkey, all these guys, really just fighting them to get ahead and move past them to try to at least stay above 16 and then try to pass one of these guys who are in the top 15. So going to be a big tournament for Yepez. He was not in this spot last year because he won tournament 4, so going to be the first time he's kind of fighting for himself here, but we'll see how this all plays out.
He knows a thing or two, G, about the last minute heroics. I think Yepez is someone well. I think he could break his way. I really do. I got confidence in world champ. But this next guy, a lot of confidence is brewing for him. Coming in at number 15, Seth Cole. Seth, what a good run. Obviously, not the best result against Lane, but a big Avion win. And ultimately, that was enough to propel him into the top 15. There are some questions with Seth, right? Is he just a player that likes to say wilds and that's his only strategy, right? But he did a good job. I don't think he's a guy that's going to be the most flashiest player of all time. But I think he's going to have that JT-like consistency from last year to get himself into the spot. We'll see where he ends up in T5. I got high hopes for Seth as well moving forward. But what do you think, G? You think Seth's in a good spot here? First guy that maybe doesn't have to worry about maybe making a round, maybe just has to worry about what others do behind, for sure.
I mean, he's really just doing he's really doing not backseat driving, but he's really driving through his mirror here at this point. Because really a lot of this depends on how the people behind him do. So, if all these people below him get on the round of 64 and we don't get a new winner that's outside the top 25, then he's in a good spot here. But really just got to make sure he doesn't get out before one of these people close on the bubble is still in. So. Really trying to make sure he gets far, just so he doesn't fall outside of the top 15 here, because he is in the last spot here. He's had a good season so far, but not good enough to where he's anywhere near safe in this space September. I mean, if he gets out in this first round, his season's over. I don't see how he hangs onto that spot, but even then, round of 32 could be very risky, and then round of 16, you don't really know. So I think Seth's going to have a lot of pressure going into this tournament, and he's going to need to make sure he performs. Otherwise, he will not likely be in the field. So I'm going to be curious to see how this all goes for Seth. But has had some good wins in the season. Could use some more, but we'll see how the bracket shapes out for him and what he needs to do to advance.
We'll see Seth and New York are looking to get into the field, and probably the worst NG of the guys that missed T4, dropped 6 spots, but didn't fall out of top 15. DJ, very strange story. We have no data on DJ and T4, but now he comes into a unique spot. G T3 was the last time we saw him, right? And he lost to Avian. Now he comes into a new bot, right? Doesn't know about any trauma in T4 with the bot. Comes in basically with that fresh mindset. Do you think that helps him in the sense that he doesn't know what he doesn't know and he's never been here before and can hang on, or does it hinder him knowing that, hey, I don't have reps, right, of the pressure where he's been really good all season, but I didn't have it in T4? What do you think? He's an interesting player out of all of them for sure because he missed that last tournament.
Curtis just kind of runs with the vibes here, so I'm not really sure if he has pressure per se, but this is definitely going to be an interesting scenario for him to walk into because missed tournament 4 and stays in the top 15, but he is very much in danger of missing out. He's been in the top 15 all year. I mean, debuted at number 4, I believe. Yeah,
Yeah.
debuted at number 4 and has kind of just slowly fallen down, but needs to stop the falling here, needs to make sure he doesn't fall any further because he is very close to that cut line. So it needs a good tournament here. Otherwise, what started out as a very promising start to the year may just end up where he barely missed out in Super League. So needs a good run here to make sure he's in.
Then we'll see. It's going to be interesting for DJ Curtis, man. He's a vibe player, but I think there could be a little bit of new iterations for him for sure. Next one, G, I take full responsibility. I thought Avion would have a breakout run. It didn't happen. You know, he had that incredible game with Seth, but it's just never transpired. And ultimately for him, quad 3 and 4 resume killed him. Right? The quad 3 and 4 resume at the back end, it was enough to keep him ahead of other guys like DJ, Seth, Yepez, and Sanford, but it wasn't consistent enough to move him ahead of the likes of the guys coming up we're going to talk about. I'm kind of worried for him. I kind of am. He's somebody I have no idea what he's going to do in pressure. You have to go back to March where there was nobody on the line. He lost, I believe it was Ashley, and had some good heroic moments with ALP and whatnot. But I don't know. I'm kind of puzzled with Abian, man. There are times where he's flashes of gold, and then there's times where he's outside the bubble. I don't know. What do you think about it? He's not a hard player. Similar to ALP, hard to read sometimes. We know +2s is one of his weird traits. He needs +2s to thrive, which is weird. Most guys don't need that. He's one of the few that does. Thoughts on that?
I mean, listen, I think for Avian has had mostly a consistent season, all things considered, but obviously, this recent tournament was not necessarily the run he was needing. I mean, had the round of 64 win, but then lost to Seth there, especially after such a great run in May. I mean, made the round of 16, but got some absurdly good wins, so. I mean, when it comes to Avion, really just trying to build up a bit more of a platform for himself here because he has a round of 8, he has a round of 16, but then he also has round 32 and round 64, so he's kind of covering all over the place. So, I mean, if you could get a Final Four, then that's a good spread per se, but he needs to make sure he doesn't duplicate on anything on the lower end here, but needs a big run for this tournament because his wins are solid, but could be better, and his runs, again, as I just said, are kind of like a bit spread out. So, going to be an important tournament for Albion to try to build up a run and cook something up here.
Abian, very consistent player, though, I will say. I believe he started out at 19, then he moved himself up to 7 and 13. You think about that, G, it's +12, -6. It pretty much evens out to where he should be. So, it all worked out for him. And speaking of it all worked out for him, how about this guy? The only player in the top 25 to not move, and that's Ghost. He's back at number 12. Well, you know, Ghost, I think, is one of those pure definitions, G, of quantity over quality, right? Nothing flashy quality-wise other than that Ashley win.
I think there's a
But,
better example later up on the list, but we'll get to them.
well, we'll get to them, but this is one of a few I think we can pinpoint where he just stayed consistent, right? The Ashley win was big. Obviously, last tournament he had a good run. Lost to Pierre, right? Of course, he beat Brian. Not really much to write home. Pain. But he's just doing what he's got to do, right? He's going through the motions, and we know Ghost is a guy. And when we get to the end in a best-of-3 scenario, right, at the end of the series, if it's best-of-3, you know he'll show up. I got high expectations for Ghost to begin. I had him in my original top 15 to make Super League around 12th to 13th. I think he's going to stay there, G. I think he's one of those guys that's going to people watch a lot. I don't think he has to go necessarily around. He's just got to sneak behind him. He's mirror driving, and maybe just around 32 is enough. What do you think about Ghost? He's in a good spot, I think. Definitely, we're starting to get to the people that are in decent spots for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ghost is in a good spot. I mean, looking at his resume, he's got, I believe, 7 wins here, which isn't bad. But I mean, I think really, you said it before. I think it's a bit more quantity over quality, but there is definitely some quality there. I mean, he's one of the very few people who does have an Ashley win, which is really doing a lot of lifting here right now. So that Ashley win helping him out a lot from the May Masquerade, but. Needs to make sure that he can at least have a good run in Space September, because I think if he has a first round exit, he's very much in danger of missing the field. So needs to use what he has already, maybe build a little bit more up, and just try to make sure that he gets the job done here come September.
Ghost's doing a good job. We'll see what he can do. We know if he gets the hunt of October, geez, spook season. We'll see if he gets there. That'll be something to note. Gee, this has to be the best story of this one. I think the second best story. There is probably one better, but in my humble opinion, this is the second best story of the season. Lane Sanders. This guy didn't. I'm pretty sure you asked him thoughts on Super League, man. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He's just happy to be here. And I'm gonna be honest with you, he probably should have been that finale, right? If it wasn't for a ref mistake and just some unfortunate errors on our part. What a run! I mean, he was what 40th or something. Now this has to be one of the most astronomical jumps of all time in the league. From basically getting swept out of the planet by Curtis at the beginning of the year to being the 11th best player, and quite possibly could have been a top 10 player if it hadn't been for that mishap. Incredible, great win on Eli, which is a great win right now. Good wins from Seth as well. Monkey's a decent win. He had the Tapir win at the beginning of the year. Done a good job. I think Lane is someone who's got to be proud of. And I'm going to be honest with you, if he makes Super Bowl, he's going to be dangerous. Nothing to lose, doesn't know anything. He could be a dangerous guy in the group stage. What do you think for Lane? Good stuff from him.
I think the thing is Lane needs a good run here, because if he goes down the round of 64, I think he drops out right away, because he needs to make sure to prove that he can prove that Jungle July run was not a fluke, which we've seen some players who were able to rise up to the occasion to say their runs were not a fluke. I mean, an example I think of, which we'll talk about later, is Christian Tago. But then you also have examples where you're still kind of trying to fight for that legitimacy, where we talk like Toaster Guy and whatnot. So. Lane's in an interesting spot. Huge run for him to the fact where he jumps into the top 15, but do not let that ranking fool you. He is very volatile right now, so if he does not have a good run in Space September, I expect him to fall right back out. So needs to put up a good run here to stay in the field.
We'll see how it goes. See how some of those losses too go. But Lane did a good job. I think no matter what happens, whatever happens to him in T5G, it's an improved season. If you would have told me Lane Sanders had 6 wins and being in the top 15 at any point, I would have called it nuts. So that's at the very least, he's got that going for him. And this next guy, I mean, how many times have we seen Jesse Turner in a 10th or 11th spot? I mean, we saw it all last year, and now we're back again. This is another guy. This is a good example right here for sure. G, quality or quantity. This is quantity over quality. I think 8 of his wins are in quad 3 and 4. That's something. But guess what? He's got 8 wins, right? You can't. You gave him everything on the plate, and he finished everything up, right? That's basically JT's strategy, insane consistency. Now, I think some of those wins might be a little bit up because of the new quads, but still, at the time, 8-win season, he is confirmed to play T5. I don't think he can just bank on a round 1. Well, he's got to go out there and make a round 2, I think. He's the first guy. I think if he makes a round 2, a 9-win season, I think that's going to get you in. I don't know if it's going to get you into a bye, but it'll get you in.
Oh, my God, definitely not.
No, I think he'll get you into a group stage, though, and we'll see where you go. But what do you think about JT? He's going to be back for T5, which is the biggest thing. That was his hurdle.
I mean, that is big for him, because I don't know if he necessarily did enough in the Jungle July to be able to skip Tournament 5, because, I mean, his Jungle July, I think, was the definition of mid. Got 2 wins, but none of them were really great on the quads, so really just kind of lingered around, exited the round of 16 with the solid loss, and that's just kind of it. Didn't really do much in the Jungle July, but needs a little bit more in the Space September. He can get away with another nothing burger run in the Space September, but he just can't have a bad run here. It is important that he is able to be in this tournament. That's going to be big for him, because now he doesn't have to risk just watching and waiting to see how the rest of the field does without having any control on it. But I mean, the question is how long is he going to be able to go without any distractions? Because the stuff's coming up here, so only a matter of time before we get to that. But going to be curious to see how this all ends up playing out, and what Turner ends up doing here, because this is going to be a big tournament for him. He was around this 10 spot last year, but this year got a little bit more of a buffer here to make sure he's in the field, but just cannot slip up on the last hurdle here. That's really the big goal for Turner.
If he makes Super League, G, think about this: no power play for the entire group stage. No power play for that first round of brackets. That's looking good. But that's the one thing. JT without power play, and you faced him, G. What's his card luck? Insane. Probably some of the most luckiest hands you'll ever see. If he makes Super League, mark my words, he will be a threat. He's just got to get in the field. Now, you're more high on this guy than me. I mean, Christian Taga, look, I've said it before. His mentality is just not there, G. I know you're high on him, but I'm not. Deep down, from a player aspect, he did a great job to back it up. Nothing. I'm not going to say anything bad about that. I need to see him get back into the hunt. Look, he was on Bye Island and he was pissed, right? I'm not sure if that's going to be a strategy for him that he wants to be on Bye. I don't. He's one of the few. I don't think he wants to be on Bye. He wants to go out there and keep playing. He had a good run, right? He lost to Sanford and Hosing. He took care of Gold, took care of Brock. Okay, they were decent enough to where he pretty much maintained his 9, 10, 11 spot right around there. Had a little help with some guys collapsing, such as Yoshi, such as Monkey, JT, a little bit. You're more high on him than me. I got to see mentally. Forget the playing, right? I don't think he's got to go far. I need to see mentally, is he ready for the moment? If he's ready for the moment, I'll eat those words. But if not, then I'm going to be, unfortunately, right. So what do you think, G? He's kind of a volatile player on mentality, which is a little bit different than playing, for sure.
Look, I think my view on this is that if he was so bad in the mentality, he would have very easily gone out in the round of 32 because that was not necessarily good. That was not necessarily lining up to be an easy match. Had to play William Brock there, which again, I don't think William Brock has had the best season per se, but definitely a formidable opponent. So was able to get that job, was able to get the job done, was able to beat Gold, who was finally rising this season after just being rock bottom all year. Um, but I think for Tago, going to be interesting to see how this Space September goes. I mean, if he gets another round of 8, I mean, this is going to be a really good setup for him. Even if he doesn't get as many wins, could be sniffing towards that buy cut line. So he's one of those players who I think could go there, but he's also one of those players who I think could just barely drop out. Going to have to see. Going to need to put up at least a solid showing to be in the field, but maybe a little bit extra, and he finds himself with a buy here, which I think Tago's going to be going for. I think. I know you're saying he's a bit frustrated, but I think I see that frustration more as motivation. He's very invigorated and ready to go, and I think Tago is going to go out there and try to put on a great run.
We'll see how it goes. It's going to see how much can he learn from that mentality from the past and use that energy, like you said. We'll see what his motivation will be for sure. Interesting player. This next guy's similar to JT as well. Chomik, look, another disappointing loss to Eli. Not his fault, right, with the sweep, but unfortunately, his win kind of just was it was a Fitzy win. Unfortunately for Fitzy, it's been it's been a bad year. And for Chomik, he's in a JT spot, really good in quad 3 and 4. We gave him one on the plate, but the only difference for him really is a monkey win that helps him a little bit with a quad 3 or quad 1 at the time, but it's not going to be able to rely on that. I think he's still in a good spot, right? He's at 8 wins, but now he's lost a little tiebreaker action to some of the guys ahead. I think he's just got to maintain his cool, right? Don't have to go back to T2 and just go fire on a Final Four. Just watch behind who loses and wins, and then just get to where you got to be, and he'll be in. Thoughts on that, G?
I do agree with that. I mean, obviously not a great tournament per se, but a little bit of the hosing there. But really, the big thing for him is he fell out of the buys. So I think he's going to be focused in the tournament to try to get a run here to try to jump back into them. But we'll see how it all plays out for Chomik. I think he's in a good spot to make the field, but I think his focus is trying to get on one of those buys. And I think that's the good thing with this system because a lot of these guys who are higher up here still got a lot to play for come to the end of the regular season because this was the old format. I think this is where we start getting to the point where these people were locked into the field and they really got nothing to fight for. So Chomik going to be looking to try to make a run here to try to get back into that top 6, but we'll see how it goes for him and whether he'll get that or not.
Yeah, new Super League form. We'll talk about that a little bit at the end of the episode. Will it actually make a difference? We'll find out soon. And next guy, G, how about a winner? Second best winner of the tournament, moving up 10 spots. Great tournament for you. I don't care what the haters say, man. Great guy, right? I absolutely needed to get that JT Chomik when he took care of business. A little hosing right on Chomik, but the JT win, He outplayed JT. Now, he lost the lane. That was just a little bit of mindset, maybe. But guess what? You got a Cham and JT tiebreaker head-to-head. Your resume is looking better than what it was in March. Huge win. Congrats to Eli. He needed to do what he needed to do. He's now the leader of the pack. If we started Super League today, obviously it's not how it works, but if he started, he would be the Group A leader. I think that's all he needs, right? Just to make the field. He's not worried about a bye. He's just here to just get in the field, and we'll play it where it lies after that. What's your thoughts on Eli? Now, we know T5 historically could be a mindset thing, but what's your thoughts on Eli moving forward?
I think the thing for Eli is, I mean, no matter how he got the wins, he got the wins. That was the number one thing he needed in this tournament. He got two of them, two top 10 wins right now. So big tournament for Eli. Got shut out of the Final Four again, though. So, I mean, that might weigh a bit on him. So we'll see what happens with that. Maybe he wants to try to make a run to try and get that. But overall, a really great tournament. I think this was the best tournament of the season so far for Eli because I think the one thing the March run lacked was good wins, and he was able to get good wins here. So, big tournament for Eli. This is absolutely what he needed. In a very good spot to make his first Super League after just missing out last year. So, we'll see how it goes. I mean, he could be in contention for a bye here. I don't know if he will get it per se, but I don't know if that's necessarily the mentality going into this for Eli. So we'll see how this all goes for him.
Eli will definitely have to do a little soul search. We all know what happened last year in T5. Made a good run, but need a little monkey motivation. Let's see if something strikes twice, but in a different verse this time.
I don't
Here
know.
you go,
I don't know if I don't know if he should have got monkey motivation at all. I don't know if anyone would want monkey motivation to be honest, but yeah.
Another story for another day on that one. Now, here, this is the ultimate story. Then, we talked about quantity over quality, take it away. Nam, all you here.
All right, okay, you're putting me on the spot here. All right. Nam jumps in at number 6 here. Um, I think the one way to describe this run was controversial. There was a lot of discussion going to this tournament about the old bot, a lot of the hosings, and a lot of the matches Nam was a part of involved a lot of hosings, and I mean he made the finale, and also a missed ref call in the final four. He really should have lost there, but got missed. He made the finale, and again was up 5-3. Was very much in position to get the tournament win, which definitely would have been a major discussion, but came up a bit short. Jumps into 6 here, but I think the big problem for Nam here is, despite being at 10 wins, he is really hoarding up a lot of the quad 3 and quad 4 wins, which it's enough to make the field, but when it comes to the buys, right now he's in. But I mean, if this is where it stays come the end of tournament 5, I don't think he's going to be in this spot. So, yeah, this was a very strange run here. I don't think he even got I'm looking at this bracket here. I don't even think he got a single win that was inside of the top 15 this run. No, he got the win against Lane Sanders, but again, that was a very controversial win. So. Yeah, I mean, not necessarily the best tournament in terms of win quality, but again, he's just kind of ran the quantity over quality mindset, and I mean, right now it's working for him. But I mean, this is kind of a bit of a fragile resume. Not fragile in the way of Monkey, where he could fall out of the top 15, I think, but I don't think that bye is anywhere near safe right now. I think he's really gonna have to put up a good run here to make sure he holds on to it, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do that, because we saw what happened the last time he made a Final Four run in this league in March. Went out straight away. So, I mean, any thoughts on Nam? I know you've been usually a big fan of Nam here, but I know you were a bit iffy after this tournament with Nam's run.
Too many quad 3-4s. That's the problem, right? You get those Cupcake City wins, and we talk about this in this league, right? You want a strong resume. The problem is he doesn't have it, but at the same time, he did the JT strats, right? He finished the plate. He got what he needed. Now, should he have lost the lane? I'm not going to deny that. He should have. Is that his fault? No, it's my fault, right? It's the league's fault where we didn't have a rep. That's 100% on me. We apologized to lane. We moved on. Now, look, I think he's all right now. I think he doesn't care about getting a buy or not. He's talked about publicly in the past, buy or not. I just want reps on a new bot, right? I think Nam's one of the few guys that can come through the field and just rip. But at the same time, he is a kid, right? There are some things he needs to mentally get back in his head, right? There's been a lot of off the table issues that I think he needs to dial back in. If he dials those in, has enough of a good a good tough T5 would be like maybe a round of 32, Sweet 16. If he just wants to get in the field for sure, if he wants to buy, maybe he thinks about Sweet 16 for sure. Maybe a loss in the E8. He needs to think about getting those quality wins. I'm not sure if it's going to come early, but he's got to think Sweet 16 and Elite 8 was where you need to get those rounds to get it. But I'm not worried about him. I think he's going to make the field. At this point, he's my first guy locked that hasn't won that we've seen so far. It's just hard. It's almost the same. How are we going to deny a 10, possibly 12 win player out of Super League? It wouldn't make any sense, despite his terrible quad 3 and 4 resume, where it's good, but it's not good with the strength of schedule. We can't deny that. He finished the plate. I think that's all he can really bank on right now, and we go from there. Now, this guy, I've been saying it all season. I know you won't believe me. He doesn't care where he's ranked as long as he's in the Mr. Pina Colada captain. He's been sipping on pina coladas, having a great time since April. Once he got that April win, what's he done since? Well, he's got an Allen win, I believe, and I'm drawing a blank. Is that it? That might be it. He has not done. That's it. He's on Pina Colada Island. I don't think he cares if he gets a buy or not. This is the only guy in the field, in my opinion, that has the balls to do 5, 6, 7 card starts and win a game, right? I don't think it matters if it's new bot, old bot. I don't care what the platform is. I still think Cap is a very dangerous player, whether he's the top of the echelon of the group stage or he just squeaks in as a buy island player. He can turn up in any minute. I'm very, very high on Cap still. Don't read too much into this poker playing he's doing. I've talked to him. He's doing this poker playing for a reason. I respect the hell out of it. Because at the end of the day, when you have something that no one else has in this league, that you're lethal on 5, 6, and 7, and the luck just knows how to go in your favor, I'll never question it. If someone had that kind of luck and it was not go against it, I start to question. I'll never question Cap because he's got that luck factor that no one else has. What do you think, G?
I mean, I think Captain's kind of had a really strong start, but it's kind of just fizzled out since his April victory. But I think the real concern is whether or not he gets a buy or not, because I think he is at risk of dropping out of this top 6. So I think he needs a little bit more going into this space September, because I think around a 64 exit or even around a 32 exit could cause him to drop out of the top 6, which would not be good for him. But we'll see how it plays out. I mean, I think this has been a very front-heavy season, with the back half having not much to offer. But we'll see how Space September goes. I mean, we have seen similar runs like this. Casey, I believe I believe your season last year was kind of similar to what Captain's season was this year. So minus a win, because that didn't happen. But nonetheless, I could draw a lot of parallels with that. For this year, so maybe he has a good tournament 5 run here to lock up that bye, but we'll have to see how it all goes for him.
Absolutely. I still, like I said, we'll see what Cap does and see how he goes. Now, this next guy, this has to be the best story of the season. Plus 12 to Pier, and I think the only thing hurting his resume was just tournament centered and that catastrophic T3 where what could have been, right? If he just had won against Lane, who knows where he could have been. Other than that, one Jungle July, King of the Jungle. I know you've called him the player of the year. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to go that far because there are a lot of great players up there. But in terms of just the league overall, for sure, best story of the year, hands down. I don't think we're ever going to get a story where he went from a scrub in D2. And I met him. I thought he was a scrub. I mean, I'm not even going to beat around the bush. But this guy's a scrub. Then we both drafted in UUL, whatever, one chip there, and then he just got promoted. He was on astronomical path, made a Final Four in T2, lost to Ashley, and then took care of business in Jungle July. I think Superior. I think he's going to be fine here, G. I think he's not a guy that's going to lay up, right? I don't see him laying up. I think he'll go hard for a couple rounds, and I think he's going to get a double bye. I just can't see him not getting one. What do you think, G?
Listen, I'm very high on Superior. You know this. 10-0 in D2, where he started the year and then got moved up to D1 because of the whole April situation. But I mean, I've been very high on Superior. You know this. No one has had 3 tournament wins in a single season. I know, obviously, it was a bit stagnated, but went undefeated in D2, moves up here, does not have a great May Masquerade, but how does he recover from that? He wins the tournament, had a phenomenal run to get there in the first place, a lot of strong wins. I mean, I had him personally as number 2 on my list, but um, I mean, Tapir's been great. I've always been very high on Tapir. I have a lot of faith. I think he's a genuine contender to make it very far in this D2 championship here, and I fully expect him to get a bye um, for the postseason. So we'll see how the space September goes. I don't think that's the most important thing that is back in his mind. As long as he doesn't have a complete collapse, I think he gets a bye here. But it's been a great season so far for Tapir. Again, he's my personal player of the year. I don't know if everyone will agree with that. There's definitely a few arguments for different players, including this next player on the list. But it's been a phenomenal year for Tapir. I don't think that can be denied.
This next player on the list is still an alien, 100%. Right, misses a tournament, still doesn't really lose any momentum. 5-2 in quad 1 alone. I think had a couple quad 2 as well. Still maintained as one of the best players in the league. 55 wins. Ashley, look. End of the day, you miss a tournament, you can still stay P3. Ashley's not someone who's just going to lay up, gee, no shot. It's Ashley. I expect her to go full send. And then once she has enough wins, then she'll maybe think about it. But this has to be still the best story of the year. One of the better stories. I still think Tapir's is the best overall. This has to be a close second, if not maybe one of the players of the year candidate, right? It should have been in D2. Ashley should have been in D2 if it hadn't been for some issues with scheduling. And that'd be a number 3 player overall in the league. I think has maintained the top 3 all season. I believe there's only 2 players that do that all season. Yeah, I'm still high on Ashley. It's a world champion player, and I don't think whatever she does this tournament, she'll get a bye, I think. And in my opinion, let's see what she's made of in Super League. That's where the world champion mindset will come into play. What's your thoughts, G, coming in here at number 3? Definitely playing Houdini right there, escaping.
Yeah, I mean, even after missing a tournament, she only dropped to one single spot, which is kind of crazy. It just kind of shows how phenomenal those first 2 tournaments were, and I think it was Caesar who pointed this out during the committee discussion. But she by far has the best quad 1 resume of the entire field. Absolutely insane. I believe it's 4 or 5 wins there, maybe 6. Yeah, 5. It's insane. No one else even comes close to that. So. Really, really good resume at the top. I mean, she's definitely set herself up to be in a very good spot to possibly win the whole thing. So, we'll see what she brings in Tournament 5 under this new bot. I think that's going to be the biggest question going into this, but overall, very excited to see what she brings after a nice little vacation for the Jungle July.
Still one of the best players in the league, G, and we'll see. Probably will get a game 100 or 2. Nam as well, getting close to that game. We'll have to be one of the fastest guys to do it, fastest guys or girls to do it in the league. We'll see how it goes. And this next guy, G, Mr. Pina Colada Part 2. Oh, man. You want to take this one away, G? This next guy, man.
I'm not gonna have as many. This isn't gonna be as all lucky go around as you'd think, because I think there is a little bit of concern going into this tournament here, because this is back-to-back round of 32 exits for you. Maybe some circumstance behind it, but prior to those 2 tournaments, you've never exited in the round of 32 or any earlier than that. So, yeah, a little bit of a situation here. You lost your number 1 spot, and if this keeps going in Space September, maybe he loses a few more. I mean, I didn't think the only way you could potentially fall out of the top 6 is around a 64 exit, but even that, I don't know if that's going to even happen. But I think I think you got to raise some concerns here for you, because it's not been the same KT at the start of the year, and we saw what happened with Onjak, who was the March winner last year. Didn't really do much in the regular season, had a bit of a surge in Super League, but it still wasn't enough. It got grouped. Obviously, KT, where you are right now, you won't be in the group stage, but still in Super League, got to have that mindset. I mean, obviously, you're not concerned per se, because you definitely do have that win you got to rely on, of course. But is there maybe any warning signs that maybe need to start going on here, because it's definitely not been the runs you were looking for here in these last 2 tournaments.
Thank God we're on the new bot. That's all I got to say there. Thank God. I needed that. That's the juice I needed. Right, the old bot. Look, I was doing a lot. This is the point of the year, G. I've always said, right, T2 through 4. It's not where I cook. It's either T1 or T5. This year, I don't have to go crazy in T5, but where do I always show up? Beginning and at the end. We're getting close to the end of the year. It's time for me to rise. It's that simple. I think the only reason what's carrying me, G, is I did tic-tac-toe. Who pointed that out? And it was Ard, of all people, right? And the only guy in the league to have been, what was it, Brad, Nam, and Ashley in a row, right? Tic-tac-toe. It's crazy, but that's the only thing that's keeping me up here right now. And I'm a front-end player or back-end player. I'm not a middle-tier player, right? I don't like the mid-season because a lot of hosting issues happen for me. And I had the community service, unfortunately, in July where that screwed me up. This one I just lost. I just flat out lost by hosting the Discord and the bot. I was on a lot of buy island this year too, G. I'm glad that that's going away for next year. I think it throws you out of rhythm. Cap has even talked about that. But I'm not too concerned. My level of concern is still a 2. I still think I'm still that guy. We're getting close to the clutch time. I'm confident. If this was the old bot, G, I'm toast. I'm 100% toast. My confidence is shot. I can't figure it out anymore. But now that we're on this new platform, I like where I'm at. I don't have to go crazy. Just get enough wins and we'll stay here. It doesn't matter if I'm 1 or 4. Right? Just get in the top 4, get into the big dance, get a little rest in the double bye, and we'll go from there. But I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Compared to where I was last year, G, at number 9 and just having to sweat bullets with H, I'll take this any day of the week because there's guys that have 0 wins, so I'm in a better spot than most. But the number 1 player in the league, G, Bad Brad. Yes, sir. Brad deserves this. Look, he backed it up. He didn't back it up as much as we thought he would, right? He lost to Yepes a little bit of just fighting tooth and nail, 5-on-1, but he still almost won the series. What a story, G, for Brad. I mean, he lost to myself, right, in March, and then lost to M. Sure, he lost to Yepes, but really, he's just been uber consistent. Unanimous number 1. I think Brad has shown one thing, Gene, this year: that anything's possible, and resiliency is the best medicine because he's been the most resilient player. To lose to KT is not easy. Usually, when you lose to me, G, and it's been known for the fact in the past, right? You lose to me, you're done, right? We saw last year, you're finished, and then you lose to M, who hasn't been here all year. You think right there, then he could have packed in the mail and mailed it. Hasn't mailed it in. He stayed on the gas, foot in the throttle. Number 1 player, rightfully deserved. Up 2 spots. What do you think, G? Bad Brad, I like where he's at. He should be okay to get a double bye for sure.
I think that M loss is really the only thing that was holding him back because I had him at number 1 in my post-23 rankings, so I personally had a vision for that. But I mean, yeah, jumps into number 1 here. I believe this is the first time all season we've had a unanimous number 1 because there was some disagreements in the first 2, but I think everyone had Brad number 1 here, so bit of agreement there from the committee. But it's been a great season for Brad. I mean, started as a 15 seed, kind of came out of nowhere. And has just kind of ran through the field since. I mean, he started as the plague doctor, now he's kind of just involved into Bad Brad, so kind of a character evolution there. So in general, I think it's been a great season for Brad. Phenomenal rookie debut. I don't think this was exactly what I was expecting from him coming into the year, but I've been pleasantly surprised with what he's been able to bring to the table here, and I'm very excited to see what he does for Tournament 5 here. Definitely looking to defend that number 1 spot because you definitely have a bit of a moniker when you walk into Super League as the number 1 overall player. Although we did see how that went last year for Arya, not very well, but hopefully Brad can not have that happen to him, and he can have a good run here, especially with the different format.
Well, Arya wasn't. We all know who it was. Remember, G? You remember who it was? Player, but
yeah, but
yeah, well, we don't talk about that. But yeah, it's a little bit different. We'll see who the regular season champion is. I mean, we'll talk more about this in the next couple topics, but let's get to it, G. What's going on with D2? I know we're getting close to the end. The acoustic August is. We're finally getting down to the last tunes here. What do we got?
all right, we got a lot of situation. We got a lot of intense matches here going on, and it comes to a situation of making it into the D2 championship here. A lot of pressure on the line here. I believe last time we were here, we wrapped up the round of 32 here, so, or actually the play-ins, but I mean, had a few runs here. I'll go through some of the round of 32 ones, not all of them. Background Ami was the weirdest game I've ever seen in my entire life, but Background finally gets another win here, despite that essentially being a best of 1. Stefan loses in the round of 32 again, so a bit of a troublesome spot for him. He was entering this tournament looking at being in a better spot, but now kind of exited in a bit of a predicament here because I don't know if he's going to miss out on the D2 championship, but not really the spot he wanted to be in. But I think the bigger story here is Myhill and White Spider. Both of them lost in the round of 32. Those are not losses they needed at all. They're in a very dangerous spot coming into the end of this tournament here because they're people who could potentially be on that bubble. So very scary spot for them. I think that's it in terms of the round of 32 here. Team Jenna was a really great match. Deleted had a phenomenal performance against Jav. Jav made the Final Four last tournament, can't really capitalize on it this time, but a really great performance from Deleted. And then round of 16, Camaro with a big upset over Gon. I think a lot of people were expecting Gon to make the Final Four, but goes out in the round of 16 in 7, so big shocker there. And then Taslim reverse sweep Deleted, so he had Taslim Camaro there. That matchup's not been very fun to schedule, but I think we're getting very close to a solution here. And looking at the other round of 16 matchups, not really much to talk about in the rest of these. Wait, no, there is one. Emmy has continued her run. She came into this tournament with 0 wins, and now in the round of 16 beat Goldie 4-3. An absolutely phenomenal performance from Emmy. Upsets the overall number 1 seed for this tournament, and coming into the tournament as well. But big win for Emmy. She's looking to try and make a late season push to get into the field, and that left our regional finals as Emmy versus Background, Nightwalker versus Mason Pikachu, which, that is essentially a playoff game here because both those players absolutely need to make the Final Four. Alex versus Mark, which did happen, but and then you also have Camaro to Taslim, which again was aforementioned. Alex Mark did happen. That went 7. An unfortunate switch from Mark ended up costing him, which might not be good because I think that could have been a playoff game for him. I think if he won that game, he would have made the D2 championship outright. Now he's going to have to wait and see whether or not he makes it, or he's going to have to go through the LCQ. Alex puts himself in a good spot, makes the second Final Four here, although in terms of wins, not the strongest per se, but he's got back-to-back Final Fours, so he's doing something right there, so looking to be in a good spot for Super League, not Super League, the D2 Championship. And then again, Emmy versus Background. I think Emmy's in a must-win situation despite the Goldie win. Background's in a really great spot, has had a good tournament, good bounce back after a disappointing June Gelato. This is 3 regional finals for Background this season, so really good resume in terms of rounds gone, and he's also got some good wins under his belt as well. So I think it's been a great season for Background, all things considered, and we'll see what he does and where he ends up after this one. And then last one, of course, Nightwalker, Amazing Pikachu. Both these players have had shown some potential in one way or another, really capitalizing on it. Pikachu has beaten Sky in hockey to get to this point, while Nightwalker took out the aforementioned White Spider and then also beat the debutant of the tournament Goma in a sweep. So both players going head to head, both have a lot of talent on the field, but I think whoever loses this is going into the LCQ here. So a bit of a playoff game here per se, but also not really. So I'm curious to see how that one will play out. KT, do you have any specific thoughts on the matchups that happened or anything that's going on in the regional finals here? We're getting in a very tense situation here. I did talk to you earlier in the week about how this bubble is shifting out to be right now. If some things go specific ways, we could very much have a 3 or 4 way fight for that 10th and final spot. So it's going to be a very interesting time come decision day for who gets those at-large spots. But any general comments on how the Acoustic August has gone so far and what the implications are currently for the D2 Championship?
Not really, G. I'll be honest with you. The problem with the championship, right, and I've said this in the past, is anybody can, with the LCQ, anybody can just make a break, really, right? And no Goldie loss was a big loss, right? No defending back-to-back couldn't pull its appear. Background characters, someone to watch. I know you talked about Emmy, pretty much the true spoiler, right, coming out of nowhere, similar to Brad at the beginning of the year.
Yep.
I still think Pikachu is dangerous. I think I said that to you. Pikachu is a very dangerous character, very strange character too. Can pull up any moment. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know if you mentioned this, but Deleted lost. I think
Deleted lost in a reverse sweep. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big loss right there. I know Camaro, he lost, but man, maybe I shouldn't spoil that. But I don't really care.
Camaro didn't lose.
Oh,
That
okay.
that matchup didn't happen yet. Mark Alex happened.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant Mark. I'm sorry, Mark. No, I'm sorry. Mark was very impressive. G. I don't know if I told you. I think I told you this. He plays the true style. He doesn't play the normal. So if he has a +4, he doesn't save it. He just plays it, right? And the fact he can go 7 games playing a style that's not, I guess, hasn't been seen since 2023. Sean Ard. That's what Ard does. That's true style, right? So if we ever change the rule, the true rule is him and Ard would just have a field day. But near to the point. But the point is, you look. There's some surprises. The 10th spot. We'll see, right? There's a lot of different metrics with D2. I don't know what to think. It comes down to really just understanding who has a little bit more of that clutch gene. I think of the remaining players left, you got to look at Alex and Background, the two guys to watch. Background obviously has the experience in multiple leagues and clutch spots and best of threes. Alex as well has just been doing a phenomenal job all season. He's my pick to win the whole thing. Geez, that includes D2 championship. I think he wins this whole thing. I'm very high on him. He's someone that, yes, he made some mistakes in the past, but you know what? You learn from those mistakes and be a better man. I think he's become a better man. I've seen the growth. Watch him. Watch Background. Can't forget Goldie, but I think those are the big three. The rest after that, I don't know. It's going to be a crapshoot. That's my take on that for sure. What about you, G? Any final thoughts?
I mean, I'm looking at this field. I think Emmy, Nightwalker, and Pikachu are definitely a must-wins here to make the D2 championship, and then you have the remaining 5. Alex, Background, I think, are pretty safe into it. I think they're really just fighting for buys here. I think the interesting ones here are Camaro and Taslim. Am I missing someone? No, I'm not. Camaro and Taslim, I think, are the interesting ones here that are still in. Because I think both of them are kind of like in that spot where it's like a little iffy. I mean, I'm pretty sure Taslim is like at what? Let me pull it up here. Taslim's at 6 wins. Camaro's at 5. I mean, if Camaro gets a win here, he already has a lot of great wins here to back up his resume that will likely put him into the field. But if he doesn't, I'm not sure where he really ends up here because I think he's one of those players on the bubble, and I think Taslim has an argument for being on the bubble also. She has 6 wins, but kind of in more mid-pack wins. So we'll see how it all plays out. It's going to be very interesting to see. We're going to be doing a bit of a different reveal format that we have never done before in the league for the D2 championship. Something we might do for Super League, so you could consider a bit of a test run. But make sure you watch out for that. It's going to be very exciting. I'm very much looking forward to it. Talking with Short to set that all up, but going to be something that I think a lot of people will enjoy, and it's definitely going to be a different take on how we do these reveal shows. So hopefully a lot of people will end up enjoying that. But I mean, KT, do you have any thoughts about that per se? Because I know you do know what's going on with that. We won't necessarily spoil it, but any thoughts on
No,
that?
won't spoil none. No, it's good. It just needs to be done, G. Right? This is a semi-pro league. I think we could say that. We're trying to get this into a more upper tier semi-pro league. I don't think it's professional yet. That's going to take some time. But
I don't know if I don't know if we're professional. That's going to be if I mean, assuming this league stays around, that's going to be many years. So
many years,
semi-pro is
because
definitely a good thing.
well, it's just many years. We also have a new platform, right? At the end of the day, we switched to in-house stuff, and that takes a little time to figure out. But once we figure that out, I'm very excited, right? There's insane amount of work in the graphic department. I want to shout out Caesar, Lime is Short. I mean, not Caesar as well for just being an absolute badass with the scheduling. But Lime is Short, Zach, those guys have been the main creators on the graphics, right? Obviously yourself, G, you've helped a little bit with the championship logos and whatnot. We'll talk about the next topic. You've been a heavy influence on that one too. But yeah, I look forward to it, man. I think anything about improving the graphics, the media package, whatever, just makes the sport better. I can't wait to see how it goes, and we'll see. We'll see. It's a test run, right? Now's the time to test before we start getting established even more. See how it goes. But this next topic, it's all you, man. It's all you. I mean, this is you've been more bullish on this topic than I ever have. It's relegation talk. Look, there's a lot of guys at 8 wins overall. Like game wins, 8 wins. It's just a talking point. I think you're safe, G. I'm pretty sure you're at 15.
Yeah.
I can't see Grimm's not dropping out. That's too much. I don't see you and Grimm dropping out now.
You know, maybe the scale is maybe we could go through each. Maybe give their risk factor of being in this relegation tournament, or even just getting relegated in general here. I think we'll cut it off where I am per se. Maybe we'll start. We can start with me and MGR here and just go down from here. If you want, if you like. But I'm just gonna bunch me and MGR together. Barring a complete insane bottom of the table rise, like basically like the nuclear meltdown scenario. I don't think either of us are flying below the cut line. Not great seasons by all means considered, but I think we have enough wins to stay alive here. And as long as we don't completely butcher it in the base September and the rest of the field doesn't magically win a million series, I think we're safe. I mean, obviously, this has not been the season I was hoping for. Just nothing has really gone right here, but did get that win in the Jungle July here to jump above the cut line and in a relatively good spot. Obviously, not the safest spot per se. 45th overall. Again, cut line is 53rd, 53rd and below. So little bit of made a bit of a gap here, but obviously not the spot you want to be in. Obviously, you'd like to be in that top 25 conversation, but just has not been the season here. But I mean, Katie, any thoughts on this one? I think this is pretty agreeable here. I mean, out of 10, I would put both me and MGR like a 1.
0, 0. Don't worry about it.
I would say never. I would say never say never, but yeah.
Well, I would have now if Fitzy was here. Yeah, I started to get concerned, right? Because Fitzy's good in T5. If Jeff Bolton was here, I started to get concerned, but they're not here. Right? If those guys were here, I do have track record of them. Not even Uno, just in clutch situations, they know how to perform. Those two guys not being here, it puts them at a 0. And another thing too, let's face it, Jay, I just don't see anybody just gonna. I think some of the guys at the bottom need to. Eric needs 2 wins. I think you said Payne,
Yes.
Allen. They need 2 wins. Are they going to get 2 wins? Just there's one guy I trust out of that 3 trio,
And I know
but
who
even
it
that's
is.
shaky. Yeah, even that's kind of shaky now, right? So I'm just going to say you and Grim are 0. I just no chance you guys you're going to be here, and we want Grim to be here, right? And we want you to be because Grim's the creator, right? I call him the creator now. That's his new nickname. More than he's the creator. And look, you're a legend of the sport, so you'd think you stay here. You wouldn't just get swept out of the blue. So
Well,
I think you guys are safe for sure.
well. Listen. I mean, if I do end up getting relegated, at least those D2 G segments are going to be a lot more detailed. So
Let's hope not. Anyway,
yeah,
next
hopefully
group.
not.
Let's not. You'd probably be pissed. I know you. It'd be H and Acosta at 11 wins. Acosta averages a game 6 or 7, so that's usually 2 or 3 wins. H is about the same way. I'm not concerned with either one. I think there's still. I'll give him a 2. I'm just not concerned, G, because those guys take the series long, and I think both have favorable opponents, believe it or not. I'm not going to spoil, but they both have favorable opponents. They could play upset City and spoiler. I'm not concerned with either one. I'm going 2. I think they're not as good as you guys, but 11 wins. They average 2 or 3 on the season. That puts them at 13, 14. That's enough to stay in because Gribb's at 14 right now. I think that's more than plenty safe. Give me H and Acosta at 2. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. I would say 2 here, and I mean, especially with where their game win percentage is, they're already a step ahead of a lot of these players here. Because a lot of these people below the cut line are at 19 losses. H and Acosta respectively are at 17 and 18. So, and if it ends up getting tied at 11, they're going to get the advantage there. So, I would put them at a 2. Also, I think as long as they just go out there and get some game wins, obviously you want to get the series win, of course, but I think just getting some game wins here, they'll be locked in and in D1 for next year and hopefully have a better year. But I mean, I think for Acosta, it's a very important step was taking this year and getting a series win because he did not do that all of last year. But I mean, for H, this has been a disappointing year. I think a lot of people had higher expectations going into this, but unfortunately, just has not been able to find the right situations here, and hasn't been the year he's wanted. But I mean, that's the first few here. I mean, there's not really much concern there. I mean, that's highlighted in yellow on this sheet here, so not necessarily safe, but they're in a really good spot here. But now we jump into the interesting spot here because now we're in the last 4 in, and we're gonna start with Ellison here. I'll give it off to you. Any thoughts on Ellison here?
Very concerned. 10. Checked out. I mean, I hate to say he's checked out. He's been checked out. I'm concerned about not even just staying in this league. Retirement talks with him. That's never good. hasn't had the success. It can come down to a few things, right? It can come down to just lack of motivation to bot. I really think that how we talked about Clint when he was up 3-0 on JT. Same story. When he had the Game 7 winner on Brad in T3, taking the wind out of the sail. If he wins that game, he's probably not only locked in, but he could have made a Super League run for all we know. Maybe not a deep one, but he could have had a chance at the bubble. Now he's fighting for his life. I think the next 4 guys are all 10s. Gee, I haven't seen enough data for Ellison. I'm going to throw Austin because he's at 10 as well. The only thing with A. Rogers I will say is
I think the thing with Rogers also, because the one thing Ellison has advantage is he's got game win percentage. He's only at 18 losses. Problem with Rogers, though, is he's at 19 losses here. That's the same as these other 3 guys who have 1 win below the cut line. So that's a very, very big concern here. Rogers needs to get game wins here if he doesn't win the series.
He could. That's the thing. I think A. Rogers could win the series, and I'm looking at him. He's had potential all year. He should have won against Yoshi, but he took care of you. Got hosed against Dark. He's had opportunities to appear as a hosing. He's been hosed by the bot. I don't know if we've seen the true A. When we saw him turned up against you, 100%. He's got some potential. He's got to perform though on that potential. If he can perform on that potential, different story, different beast. I think Rogers is someone to watch. But he still has to be at 10 for sure, similar to Ellison. No retirement toss with him. He's just got.
I would personally put Ellison at a 5, Rogers at a 6. That's where my head's at. And now we jump into the really, really scary spots here because this is really where the battle truly begins.
All 10s, G. I think the rest of the white are all 10s. I mean, from Ellison on back, it's 10. And then here's the reason why you don't want to be in this spot, right? Logan, look, he's had a terrible season. Okay, it's been. We got wiped by Seth Cole. He had that Nom win, which that's been an outlier, similar to H with the outlier win, but it's ammo control. His problem has been ammo control, and he doesn't know how to control the ammo. And if he fixes it on the new bot, maybe with the bolded cards or some new UI and UX things, maybe he can figure it out. But if he don't control the ammo, he ain't going far. And he's even said that publicly. I gotta learn ammo control. If he learns the ammo control, I can see it. Aiden Smith, man, he's lucky he's got 17 losses right now, because if he doesn't have 17 losses, I think, in my opinion, he should be in the relegation talk even more than he is. But he had that Eli win. That's another outlier win. It's enough to where he's just been able to. It's crazy, G. Some of these relegation guys have beaten good people. Right, Logan has beaten Nam. Aiden Smith beat Eli. A. Rogers beat you. This next guy, Zach, he beat a top 25 guy in both guys. Right. England beat Dark. Radden beat Cody. These guys, these next 4 or 5, they've all been solid people. It's just they haven't had the luck. So, yeah, I don't know. That's just my take. It's just they haven't had the robust energy to get them at the next level. What do you think, G?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think these ratings are more or less what we're looking at in terms of the what's it called? The blanking out here for a second, but I think this is more just about what we're looking at in terms of the risk of getting relegated. I mean, again, I would put Logan at 8, to be honest, because I am a little more concerned. But the good thing for Logan is he does have the game win percentage. He's stuck at 8 too, but Logan's really hanging on because of the game win percentage right now. So really, really needs to find something here. Otherwise, could be a disaster waiting to happen. But overall, just needs to figure something else out here, because this is not what he needs going into this last tournament of the year, because it's been a bad year, but he needs to just at least clutch up here so he stays in D1 next year. Otherwise, he's risking getting relegated in the relegation tournament. But again, 18 wins compared to 19, that gives him an advantage here. That is significant. Again, it's how you win those matches really comes into play at the end, and especially for these players who are at 1 win, that could be the difference to staying alive here. But if he gets swept, he is in major, major danger of being in this relegation tournament, because there are 4 people below him who have 8 game wins and have 1 series win, and they are all going to be very, very hungry to get above the cut line. And we're jumping with Aiden Smith here. He's kind of in a similar situation also, but he's above these other 3 because he has 17 game wins. So he just needs to get the game wins here. Obviously, you want to get the series win, or 17 losses, not wins. But he needs to get the game wins here. He needs to go 7. I think obviously when we talk about this, obviously you want the series win, of course, but we're talking the assumption they don't win the series. He needs to go 7 here because he's got 3 people behind him who are absolutely hungry to get past him, and he cannot have a slip up here. If he goes 4 or 5 and in a loss, that's bad for him. He might fall below the cut line. But I mean, any thoughts on Aiden Smith? I would personally actually go a little bit down. I have a little more faith in Aiden. I would say a 6 compared to what I gave Logan, but. Any thoughts on Aiden Smith? I mean, this has not been the year for him. Had a big win in Tournament 3, but has just not been really anything to write home about.
All 10s, yeah. Like I said, everybody's from Ellison on back. It's all 10s. Just
I think we have different metrics, but continue.
Yeah, because when you're in this spot, I don't know how you can feel comfortable, right? You wouldn't want it. It's an ego booster, right? Ego deflator and a boost. If you make it in, it's a booster a little bit. But if you don't make it, it's deflated. You don't want to go down there. Like we kind of wait on Myth. He didn't want to go down there, right? But he found a way. Bowtie, 1 win, great example. Pulled through. Aiden Smith, look, at the end of the day, I think he said if he didn't get that Eli 1, he could have been checked out. He needed that. He's got a shot. I think he's got a shot, but I haven't seen enough. The problem with him is his color efficiency is just awful. It's god awful. It's not even ammo control. It's just color efficiency doesn't work for Aiden Smith. Zach, let's just kind of move it along here. Zach in England and Radden, look, all same boat. I think Zach has a little bit more of an edge, in my opinion, of those 3 because England's played this endurance style that I know you can't stand it because Dark, it just hasn't worked for Dark.
I think it's just never worked. That's the problem. The only win he got was in March, and that was against Dark, and that was at the start of the year. That was a ridiculous 2-hour, 20-minute series, and he's been absolutely checked out since then. He's gotten only 4 game wins since that victory, which is absolutely insane. Like, no, wait a second. No, I need to actually check this. Wait a second, because I think it might be even worse. It might be even worse. No, he only has had, in the last 3 tournaments, he's only had 3 game wins. That is 1 game win per tournament. That is absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, look, it's not been the year for Sam England, right? Endurance, maybe he's got to speed up the clock a little bit. Dark, it does work for a little bit, not as much, but it does. We know Dark cooked in T5 last year. England, I don't know. It's got to be a reset. Radden, look, for the love of Christ, I wish the man the best, but I kind of pray he doesn't get up there. Right, but if he finds a way, fair play. He had that Cody win where Cody was just getting absolutely trounced by the bot. Name a better combo. And he found a way. I think he could be still in a good spot if he can get a win. He did play drip well. There's some promising signs, ironically. Zach is just, I don't know, man. With him, it's just too OG style. It's OG art a little bit, and I still think he can find a win. I think he can still get a couple game wins, but it's going to have to be bubble watching for him. The rest on back, I've already told you who I think has a chance on the rest on back, but
yeah, I mean, on the 4 losses here. I mean, we'll start with the 4 losses here first. Here, over this point forward, we need the series wins. These players just need 1 series win and then maybe some game help here. Leah, Clint B, Brando. I don't think any of these have had a great season. I think Leah's kind of been playing a bit behind here. I think Leah's had a bit of a tough schedule, but definitely has not been able to break through for that win here. Do you think she has a shot to get that 25 win? Because, I mean, she's the highest out of these 3 here, and she technically only needs 1 series win, but obviously you need to capitalize on the game wins also. So, I mean, I'll ask me your thoughts here on Leah. I already know your thoughts on Clint, but do you think Leah maybe has a chance to sneak in?
No shot. Neither have a chance. I'm sorry, but just I haven't seen enough. Clint smoked out. Leah, I just don't think has the composure. G. There's no disrespect, but at the end of the day, the only one. Well, actually, I take that back. There is one other guy I could potentially see, but I don't see. I just don't see it. Leah, right? I think the biggest thing for her is, I think D2 should be her home. Honestly, I know I'm not supposed to say that, but I think she would be really well in D2 because it's a little bit more relaxed down there. The environment might be somewhere she can control. Clint. Can he stay sober? I mean, when he was on vacation that one time, he was great. I mean, dude, he played me 4-2. He gives me a hard time. He's one of the few guys in this league that actually can play me hard, and I'm not even capping. He's a good dude when he plays me. The problem is he has to play that style. If it's anybody else, he's just done. I don't know. Clint, I don't think he's going to stay sober. I think he's cooked. Leah, I just don't think has enough composure. Brando? has a chance. I'm very impressed with Brand. I know he didn't win against Caesar, but there was glimpses of he took round one Caesar to 6 game. We were there for that game. I could
We
see
were.
something from Brando. What was that?
We were.
He was good. I mean, Caesar even admitted I didn't play my best, but shout out Brando. He played well. That was Caesar's 100th game. He almost spoiled the party, similar to a la Monkey Lane battle type thing. Now, of course, I think Brando needs to work on ammo control too, but I could see something from Brando. Do I think he wins though? Slim chance. And I think that was it. The last three are just in a different scenario, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I think going back to Leah here, I mean, obviously she came in as a 64 seed coming into the year, so kind of the last one in. Maybe, I mean, obviously she's still got a shot here, but maybe D1 was not necessarily the place, the best spot for her per se. But I think if she ends up getting relegated here, I could see her doing some good stuff in D2. But just has not been the season she was hoping for. But we'll see what happens with that. Clint has been smoked out. I think a lot of people will be sad if he gets relegated, but it's just been objectively a terrible year for Clint. And for Brando, kind of just a rookie, hasn't really been able to do much. But again, he has some glimpses. He is the lowest of these three, though, with only 5 game wins. But maybe has a shot here. And then the last three here are Allen, Faust, and Monaco. Cologne's been long gone. Bolton, I think, is not coming back. And then Fitzwater, we had a situation. Fitzy may be in the relegation tournament, but he's not going to be in tournament fives here. So if he comes for the relegation tournament, he's already locked in there. So we're gonna skim past that for now, but I already know which one you're gonna say has a shot out of these three. But the thing with these, they have to get 2 series wins, which is gonna be a bit of an uphill battle. But I'm just gonna leave the floor to you because I think everyone already knows who you're gonna pick, who has a shot to maybe do that.
It's Andreas Allen, man. Has to be. Payne and Monaco. Look, at the end of the day, maybe the new bot with the bolded cards, they can start to cook, but well, we have not given Allen a fair shot all year. I mean, what's his schedule been? Insane. Round one hard? Yeah, you did not win that. What was it, KT? Yeah, good luck with that in round one. Cap? Yeah, okay. There's no chance. He's had no fair chance. Now, look, has his problems been insane? Yes, he's had insane problems, okay? There's things he can't control, and it's unfortunate, but I still believe he can get 2 wins, G. He's the only guy, when turned up with the split ammo control that we know and love. Caesar and I know this guy like the back of my hand, back in Victory Lane days. He had the split ammo game that before anyone else had it. If he turns up and gets that first win, I think he can start to spiral into some more. Not going to say he's going to go make a Final Four, but if he can get to a Sweet 16 a la Pat Johnson, and maybe even an Elite 8 even, if he can get something cooking and be an underdog story, I can see him making a run. For Payne and Monica, I don't know. Key for them is can they schedule the game. And if they somehow cook, we're going to start asking questions on was it the bot the whole year or was the UI things that we've added, such as bold cards and things like that. Now, I want to make one admission here, G. M stole a spot. I mean, M should have made Super League. And I agree with you, Pez, wholeheartedly. He said if M had played the whole season, would have made Super. I agree. Took care of Gold, right? Took care of Brad, #1 player. In my opinion, probably would have beat Monkey, right? If we forget all that DQ crap, should have beat Monkey. M easily could have made Super League. Has potential. Could have been dangerous. Just scheduling things, right? And you wonder she'll be back in D1 next year, but you just wonder is it a year-by-year thing with her? But going back to the convo, I still am high on Allen. I can't say we're not until we give him a reasonable round one opponent. Now, if he loses this round one opponent we give him this next tournament and it was reasonable, okay. Now I can start to say maybe he didn't have it, but it's hard to read, G, with the amount of problems he's had in real life. That stuff. There's one thing when you have a couple, not 6 or 7. That's hard to overcome. The fact that he's still playing is a miracle. So we'll see how it goes. Overall, who do I think squeaks in?
Yeah, I mean, last comment on that one. I mean, if we're good, I'm just gonna set the standard. I'm just gonna set it here, but obviously with some withdrawals, it's definitely gonna be this first round of this relegation tournament's gonna be a bit awkward. But I think based off what we have, we'll have at least one game in that one bit here. But it depends on whether Fitzy comes in for the relegation tournament. If he does, he'll be in that first round. But we'll see how that goes. But I mean, if this was the relegation tournament today, if this tournament 5 didn't exist, this is what we had. Who do you think are the four that keep their D1, not their seasons alive, keep their D1 spots for next year?
Assuming Fitzy would come back, I would throw Fitzy, but if he doesn't, then I have to look at. I think Zach would make it by. I'm gonna go England. I think he would. I think the endurance strategy actually could work for a relegation tournament. I'm throwing Allen in there. I think Allen would get in there, and I know this is gonna sound really bad, but man, I think Radin would get in. As sad as it sounds to say, I think he's had enough. He's starting to develop something here, where if he can take drip 7 and take care of some things, he must be figuring out ammo control, because I see a different Radin compared to what it was in March. It's a little bit better. Still not polished, but it's still better. For Clint, watch him in D2. He is getting better on this new bot, I will say, with the UI and the UX enhancements. He could be a threat. Leah, I don't know. We'll see. Could be a threat. Brando could be a threat in D2. He could actually. I could see him actually fitting well down there. But I still have to go with Zach for sure, England, Radin, and I'm throwing in my boy Allen. I think those are the four people that we get in. Now, if Fitzy's in, then if I had to kick one, I'd kick Radin to the curb, but it wouldn't be my much. What do you think, G?
It's gonna be interesting because I mean we make these predictions here, but with how this works, you're kind of getting split up into pods here because essentially here with how this is, especially with the Bolton not coming back and Cologne's been off the face of the earth for forever. I mean obviously Zach and Sam England you don't really know, but besides that, it would the matches to keep their D1 spot would be locked in for the 3, 6, and 4, 5, and that would be Radin, Brando, and Leah Klimt. So in both those matchups, at least one of those players would stay in D1 here. So I think that's something you also got to consider as well. But we'll be curious how this all plays out. Again, the season's kind of been all over the place, but I think the one thing we definitely have is the rule set's been consistent, so we know these are the bottom 12 players right now. They're going to have to fight their way to get out of this bottom 12 in the space September, because otherwise they're going to be fighting for their lives here in this mini relegation tournament where a loss will end up in relegation, which no one wants. So going to be very tense to watch, and also very exciting is that's going to be running around the same time as the Space September keeps going on with round 16 and round of 8. So going to be another thing for the spectators to kind of watch. So going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. This is the first time we are doing this also.
Yeah, we have no idea. G will run that. It's just a new experience, right? We're going in the enter of the unknowns for sure. But that's it for that, G. Let's go back to Super League predictions for T5. I know we have a fourth top. We'll just kind of combine it here. Let's look right now. If I had to go with my top 15, I'm gonna say in no particular order. Brad's in for sure. Obviously myself. Cap's in, right? Throwing Superior. Ashley's locked in my opinion. That's 5. Nam gets in. I'm gonna throw Eli in there for sure. Chomik, Turner, Toggle. So these last 5 are gonna be interesting. Who am I kicking to the curb?
I mean,
Yeah.
before we continue, I'm just going to say I fully agree here. Brad, KT, Ashley, Tapir, Captain, Nam, Eli, Chomik, Tago, Turner. I do believe all 10 of those players do make it here. I think it's these, again, you said it before. I think these last 5 are going to be interesting here. I just wanted to jump in here so we don't waste time on that. So you may proceed here.
Yeah, I'm thinking this may be a shocker to some, but I think Lane gets in. I think he's going to have enough of a rhythm to where round 1 he's been consistent enough, and I think he wins round 2. That's enough of a resume at 8 wins. He gets in. I'm going to say Ghost gets in as well. He's really good in round 1 and 2. I see no way he doesn't get in. This is where I start getting convoluted. I think the guy that's going to jump in is Yepes. I trust the world champion to find something here. He's not going to just lay it up and just lay it down. Give me Yepes and Sanford as a package deal for 13th and 14th. And my last spot, man, it's tough to throw this guy out, but I'm going to pick, man, he's the last rookie that gets in. Throw me Abion. I think the problem for DJ and Seth, and as much as I think they had great stories this year, DJ Curtis is just here for the vibes. That could cost him. It may not be enough for the clutch gene. Seth, I love the dude. Great guy in the wild control. The new bot, it actually will favor him. But I don't know if I see enough from Seth in a spot where he can just run it. We see the closest we can say is March. and I haven't seen enough. I think Sanford and Yepes being on the bubble is going to scare people. If it wasn't for those two guys, they probably would have made it. But I think Avion gets in. Who's my first miss? Well, that means DJ Seth would be my first two misses. I think Stingray would be my third miss. I think he makes a run, but it's not enough for a run. Monkey and Yoshi would be a package deal missing out. And probably the big name G missing out, in my opinion, out of that group for sure would be Yoshi, though. You have to say, after his finale, it would be the Clay story. Clay would also miss out, unfortunately. A big name from a finale last year. Caesar. How many times have we said Caesar gets a big fish when he needs it?
I mean,
It's not going to.
we didn't even mention that, but Caesar dropped out of the top 25 along with Clay and Cody Lamas. I mean, Cody Lamas has not just dropped out. I mean, I think he has fallen out of the fallen out of the bottom here in general. Just not even the top 25. A complete disaster for him. But I mean, we forgot to mention that, so we apologize. But anyways, proceed.
Yeah. I still am high on my boy Cody. I still think next year, if it doesn't happen, he's going to turn it around with the Snoobot. I'm still always going to say that. For Clay, that's my boy too. You know, a lot of them are, but Clay, I still think Clay will do something in T5. The problem is it enough? I mean, he hasn't played a quad one game. Caesar hasn't played a quad one, and that's you're at a resume deficit. And are they just going to get 3 or 4 quad one games off the bat? It's impossible. You're not going to get a quad one game in round 1 or usually round 2 maybe, but round 1 no, right? So in my opinion, it's not enough of a jump where they can astronomically get in. But out of the people that I think that should have made that didn't, I think Seth and DJ are the big names to miss out. I think Yoshi as well. I'm telling you, G, the Yepes Sanford effect is real. I think they're going to join me in the Super League. They're the 3 guys that run it back. Me, Sanford, Yepes will run it back. That's my bold take. What do you think, G? Who's your top 15? Who's your 11 through 15? Because we got top
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to jump to start with this. I mean, we've seen all season these Super League players. We had a lot of higher expectation for them, and it's just kind of been all over the place. Some players have just been nowhere near the bubble here, and some players have just kind of been struggling on it throughout the entire year. I'm just going to start off with this. I do think Ghost makes it for starters. I think Seth actually has a good run. He'll lock himself in through that way. That leaves me 3 spots here. And I look at I look based off how from tournament 2 to tournament 3, and then from tournament 3 to tournament 4. Tournament 2 to tournament 3 had 5 people jump into the top 15, and then 5 people fall out, of course. And then between tournament 3 and tournament 4, only 2 people jumped to the top 15, so not a lot of movement there. I do think we see something similar here, and I mean, you only predict 2. I'm going to go down a little bit further. I'm going to say only 1 here. So I have Ghost in, I have Seth Colin. I think Curtis somehow finds a way to get in, and I also have Lane Sanders in, but I think he's going to be close on that bubble here. I think he stays at around 11, 12. And then for the person that gets in, listen, there's a lot of people you could pick, but you really got to kind of look at this and look at how this season has gone. Looking through these reveal rankings, we have seen someone jump in from outside the top 25 and jump into the top 15. We saw that with Yoshi in tournament 3, and then we saw that with Lane in tournament 4 here. Did go down 1 spot here, but the question is, I feel like there could be someone here who was outside of the top 25 who maybe jumps in that wasn't in prior. And you also got to consider this is the playoff. This is kind of the playoff season where it's like people make these deep runs out of nowhere to just suddenly clutch up and lock themselves in. And I would not be surprised if we do see something similar. The question is, who would that be? And I very much could regret this. I'm just going to preface with this, but I have always felt like there's been something he's been hiding all year, and just been waiting to show. And
Dark?
No, not Dark. You are out of your mind. But
Okay.
I had him in my original top 15. I very much could regret this, but you know what? I'm gonna stick to my guns. I think it happens. I think William Brock somehow finds a way to jump into the top 15.
Rock?
Yes, because I mean Brock's like what, in the 26-30 range right now, somewhere around there. So he's outside the top 25, but he's not that outside the top 25. And we've seen these past 2 reveals, someone who is not in the top 25 at all jump into the top 15. I think that trend continues here, and I think it also continues with the trend of a lot of people who jump in goes down. So he'd be the only one who jumps down. That would bump Avion out of the field. I just think something's going to go wrong for Avion, unfortunately. But
How he does it, I'm not sure. I think he may have a deep run to the finale, something similar to what we saw the Clay last year, except this time he makes it in. But I don't know. I could very much regret this later on because he's very much disappointed me all year. But I think he finds a way to clutch up at the end of it. And that's my pick. Which so I do have Yepez and Sanford actually missing out here again.
Wow.
I have had so many questions with these Super League guys, including myself, since tournament 3 here. And Sanford had a really great run in the Final Four, but you got to remember this tournament was not great for him last year. You could argue he was doing a bit of the classified experiment, the experimentation, a trend that really backfired on him in Super League last year. But he cannot experiment this time. He is below the cut line. I don't think he's going to experiment, but I mean, this season has just not been it for him. I think something could go wrong here, and I think Yepez is going to be one of those players who just barely misses out here. I don't know. I think something is going to go wrong here, and it's going to cost him. It's really going to suck. But again, these Super League guys have just not been it this year, and it's just disappointing to see. So I have Yepez and Sanford in my first 4 out. I'm going to also throw in Drip in my first 4 out. I actually think he does make a decent run, but unfortunately, it's not going to be enough. And then I also have ALP in my first 4 out by the sole premise of he's going to make the round of 16. So that's going to be it for that. But it's really tough here, especially on the bubble, because you got a lot of players you really want to see in the field, and obviously you don't got room for everyone. That's kind of just that's the tough thing about this format. So.
Yeah, I'm interested in that, G. Like I said, we're gonna find out what really prevails, right? Does that experience from last year of Sanford and Yepez? Because if it was any 2 other guys that were in those 2 spots, I would throw Monkey in the field. Really would. Yoshi, I start thinking about. But those 2 guys, when you hear the words of Yepez, right, and a Super League world champion and a 100-time winner, right? A 100-time winner is going to happen, say, unless he gets swept by his first round opponent. That strikes fear in anyone's. A 100-time, a Centurion. I gotta think those 2 guys are gonna find a way. But then again, G, you've always known this. I have a soft spot for veterans, right? Right, I'm a veteran kind of guy, right? Grizzly veteran. I think they find a way. But if I'll shake your hand if Brock finds a way, I wouldn't be shocked, right? And the reason why Brock could find a way is, if you think about William Brock, he's always had something in the back pocket that no one's seen before. You make a good point. Even back in the day, if he shows it here and gets maybe, what's he at 4 right now? If he gets the 7
4.
wins with his strength of schedule, he could make it. There could be a guy that makes a Super League with 7 wins, or even 6 with an insanely hard strength. It's possible. It's not out of the realm of possibility. But I just don't see that right now from Brock to where I can say I can vividly get in there. We're leaving out big names, man. Yoshi's a huge name. Caesar's a huge name. Dark is a huge name. Lamas, unfortunately. Peter. And Sanford Yepez won't even get there. Gold's out. There's a lot of huge names that are going to miss the cut, and I don't see that changing unless we change the format next year, maybe a little bit. It's always going to be it. The field is uber competitive, right? Only less than 25% of the field makes it in Super League. At least for the D1 players, 15 out of 64 is less than 25%. It's always uber competitive, right? Just be grateful that we have 15 spots versus 10 last year. If it was 10, I think the battle would be Lane, JT, and Ghost. That would pretty much be it. It wouldn't even be a battle. I think JT gets in, maybe Lane off of some hinge luck. But yeah, so it's good that we have top 15. I think it makes it a little more exciting. It's not as exciting as, let's say, maybe the bye battles, because in the past we never had them, right? But maybe the bye battles are a little more exciting. I guess that's what really the difference is with this year's format. The bye battles is something new. Relegation is new. There's going to be a record amount of games streamed in round 1. I'm looking forward to it for sure. But, G, any last thoughts, man, before we close it out? What you looking forward to?
It's a very interesting tournament 5 that we got coming up here. A lot on the line for a lot of players all over the place. I mean, we got the top 15 in Super League, but we also got the bubble in terms of the relegation tournament. So it's going to be a lot to watch out for in this bracket. There's not going to be a single match you can miss. Very excited here. I mean, we're going to have 29 games in this first round here that are going to be must see. So I think that's going to be a really exciting thing for the fans, and I can't wait for it to all go down.
Yes, sir. I believe we'll have 22 stream games or something of that nature. It's going to be fun. 29 games in round 1. We'll get to that in the next episode, which will be your Space September Satellite 64 coming in hot reveal show. Check us out on, of course, all the Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those listening platforms. Check us out on our home base on YouTube. Leave us a comment. Who do you think is going to make the Super League field? It's going to be interesting. We'll see how it goes. Does G's prediction come true? Does William Brock shock the world? And do we leave out the big names of Yepez and Sanford, the two sleeping giants? We'll find out. For all of us, we'll see you next episode where we get down to business in T5. Have a good one, everybody.